Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar this morning or this afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Thanks for coming. The webinar is an accounts payable AI success story. And we've got the lovely Jeff Santos, who's the lead accounts payable analyst at Energy Transfer, joining us today to share his story. I won't go into too much detail because I'm sure Jeff will tell you later, but Energy Transfer is actually in the Fortune 500 list, ranked, we believe, about 43, as we've just been discussing. So really great to have Jeff here from Energy Transfer. And then supporting Jeff with the story today is Paris Baker, the lead customer success manager here at Xelix, who looks after the Energy Transfer account. So hi, Paris.
Hello.
And welcome, Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Great, thanks. Cool. Now we're all acquainted. I just need to skip to some housekeeping. So this webinar will be recorded and it will be shared, likely to be tomorrow afternoon. If you do have questions, we will come to them at the end in the Q&A section. You should see a questions widget in the top of your screen. So just click that, pop in your question at any time, and then we'll visit those at the end and answer those for you. Finally, there is also a help widget. If you do have any connection issues, please click help and hopefully it can be of assistance to sort that out for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. And before we go to the main event, which of course is Jeff and his AI success story, we're going to go over to Paris for a little introduction and to set the context on who Xelix is, what we do, and who we work with. So Paris, over to you.
Thanks, Lisa. Welcome. First of all, I'm just going to set the scene. Who are we at Xelix? So we are an AP control center. And essentially what we do is we bolt onto your finance systems and we really focus on the audit and control processes within AP. And typically these are very sort of filled with manual and unsophisticated processes, and we're trying to really change that. So we've got a range of products that are really focusing on automating and enhancing those controls. If we can just jump back a slide, sorry. I'll go into the products in a minute, but just to kind of tell you a little bit about who our customers are. So yeah, we have over 100 customers now. You can see a few of them on this slide. Energy Transfer are obviously one of them. And we have customers across the globe, so based in the UK, the US, and a number of other countries as well. And we also are very embedded within the BPO world as well. So we work with a number of P2P consultancies, and you can also see a few of them there or on the slide. And the other thing I just wanted to add on this slide is that we are ERP or sort of workflow tool agnostic. We can work with any different P2P system and integrate with them there. So if now we could just go on to the next slide. Thanks, Elisa. So these are our modules. So we will go into them in a little bit more detail, but essentially we've got the transactions module, which is really used to surface overpayment errors, such as duplicate invoices, invoice errors, and we're really trying to do these checks ahead of the payment run. The transactions module is all about trying to mitigate AP risk, but ahead of the payment run. So we're really trying to be preventative and focus on cost savings and moving to a position of being proactive rather than reactive. We've then got the vendors module. And the vendors module is all about helping you to stay on top of your master vendor data cleansing and doing that in real time. So flagging to you, when you're missing key bits of vendor information, such as telephone number or address, but also flagging when we think you might have duplicate vendors on your system. We've then got the statements module, and this is all about trying to solve that statement reconciliation headache that's very familiar, hopefully, with a lot of people on this call. And essentially what our module can do is it can automate the process. So a statement that would normally take about 30 minutes to reconcile will take about 3 minutes within our platform. We've then got the reports module, which is really pulling all of the other modules together. And this is where you can really build different reports and charts and really get some data and analytics out of the information that we have in the platform, and especially really useful for management and team leaders, etc. And then we have the help desk module, which is our brand new module, and it's all about automating vendor queries, but we will go into that in a little bit more detail later on.
Amazing. Thank you, Paris. That was a quick 2 minutes on who Xelix is. So, Jeff, if you could give us an introduction and just set the scene for our audience here today on what the AP setup looks like at Energy Transfer, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Santos. I'm the lead analyst at Accounts Payable, Energy Transfer. I've been with the company for over 6 years, and my role consists of developing and improving the AP department's processes and structure. Energy Transfer is one of the largest and most diversified midstream energy companies. We transport oil and gas across 41 states with over 120,000 miles of pipeline. The company is currently ranked 43rd on the Fortune 500 list, verified earlier. So what life was for the AP team before Xelix? In my time with Energy Transfer, I've seen the AP department transform so much since joining. Before Xelix, the department didn't have much of a quality assurance team in place, and the statement reconciliation process was very manual and time-consuming. We would be overwhelmed with the volume of statements received from our partners and vendors, and filtering out which tickets being sent to our ticketing system, which is Remedy, were actually statements requiring response. And that was a tedious process because we do allow a 24-hour to 48 window to respond to those statements. So that way we ensure that all our accounts are reconciled or up to date. And then implementing Xelix, that process was pretty quick. Our UAT to user training only took 2 months to really implement. And we'll go into the results from that later on in the slides, but that's my introduction.
Great, thanks, Jeff, and thanks for not sharing any spoilers. I'm sure everybody's on the edge of their seat. Now, what results we've achieved with Xelix. So thank you for that background. I think also it's probably important to note kind of, the DNA of Energy Transfer and how quickly you're growing. Maybe you can give us a couple of minutes or a minute on your acquisition-led growth strategy.
Yeah, so we just had an earnings call, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, in regards to our current standing and what our goal is to the future. And acquisitions and mergers are one of those main focus that the company focuses on achieving. And so these are the most 3 recent articles that we have posted public on our acquisitions. And going through all these acquisitions and mergers do highlight a couple of issues in regards to, consolidating all those assets and accounts as well. So to implement something as far as Xelix does really support our end goal and consolidating those different assets.
Great, thank you. I think that's quite an important thing to note because I know, Paris, a lot of our customers are in kind of growth journeys, and that's something we really focus on, making Xelix really easily scalable, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of our customers, start working with Xelix, and then maybe later on they make acquisitions or they want to add in additional entities, and it's a very, very smooth process. The adoption process of Xelix is also super slick and super smooth, and it's a very, very easy to use tool. So adding new team members and getting them trained up is very quick and a very smooth process. And so I guess an example would be Moderna, who actually we did a webinar with at the end of last year, I think it was. They joined and they were in a hyper growth stage, and it's been a very, very smooth process for them.
Great, cool, thank you, Paris. And obviously, Jeff, so your processes were quite manual. You're looking to transform your processes. Attached to your automation project, I guess, you had 3 key goals. Maybe you can share a bit on these.
Yeah, so when we began the project, we sought to accomplish 3 goals. One of them was to eliminate recovery firm finder's fee. So we have a recovery firm that analyzes our data and then gets paid in regards to finder's fees. And our initial goal was to decrease that fee for the previous year by $250,000. And we, no spoiler, but we tried to do that.
Yeah, great.
As well as reconcile 300 statements a month. We're achieving less than that through the remedy system due to the amount of volume that we're getting and then filtering through which were actually statements. And then ultimately delivering more value across the organization and the department as well. So those are the 3 goals going into the project.
Great, thank you. And thanks for kind of setting that context. It leads us nicely into an AI emoji. And now a poll. So we would like to ask the audience here just to submit your response. So what are your 2024 AP goals? And just while you're having a think about that, and I really do encourage you to share your goals here. Jeff, do any of those sort of stand out to you or align with your project?
I mean, all of them stand out. I wish there was an option to select all, but if I were to select one out of this list, I believe mitigate risk would be the top of that goal for the year. Risk does pose a lot in the sense of accounting, so any way we can mitigate that risk, that's always beneficial across the board.
Yeah, nobody likes to see risk, do they? We've only got a few people who have responded, so if you can submit an answer, we'd very much appreciate it because we'd like to dig in and analyze the results of this poll. We do have an analyst on the call today, so it would only make sense. So just one more minute, maybe 10, 20 seconds. Let's see how it goes. I do wonder. Oh, we've got more coming in. Any more people want to share their views? A, mitigate risk. B, find more cost-saving opportunities. C, enhance process efficiency through automation. D, enhance process efficiency through end-to-end team alignment. So bringing your purchase or your procurement team together with your payables team. And finally, just get better access, visibility, and usability when it comes to AP data, which I know is quite a big pain for a few people, not being able to demonstrate everything they've been doing and achieving. Thanks, people, for sharing some views. I'm going to skip to the poll results. Oh, there's votes for everything. But we can see that, yes, so process efficiency through automation is the winner there, which is no surprise. Paris, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this reigns very true. So talking to a lot of our customers, this is really kind of the biggest focus for probably for the last 2 years, potentially 3 years as well, just really trying to focus on efficiency. And that's one of the big things that we're trying to help with at Xelix. And I guess everybody's just trying to make processes as smooth as possible and also being able to track them. And so that's really the benefit of the reporting module within Xelix, is that you can track all those processes.
Great. Thank you, Paris. So let's go back to it. They are drums. There is a drum roll. So energy transfer, Jeff, did your team achieve their goals? Let's go back to goal 1 and just refresh our audience on what that was. And here's the result. Let's talk about it. Jeff, over to you.
Yeah, so we did reach that goal of decreasing that finder's fee by 250,000. We actually exceeded that goal. So 100% of target, but really way above that. And it's continuous as well. So initial cost saving and the ROI, which we pay, which I probably won't discuss, but we saw an immediate ROI on this platform based on what we were able to recover and continue to recover in regards to in-house auditing.
That's great. Love to hear it. Thanks. And obviously that was with our transactions module. So you've hit your goal of achieving or eliminating your kind of finder's fee on your recovery audit. There obviously were some other kind of results that your team saw. Perhaps you can walk us through these and provide a bit more detail.
Yeah. So AP was more of a reactive state before Xelix, and now we're in a proactive state. And that's due to the help of the transaction module within Xelix. We were able to see 1.7 million transactions that were correctly identified and were recoupable that went out the door incorrectly. And then we continuously prevent 23.5 million overpayments and duplicate posting. Also prevented 13 million from invoice being processed incorrectly. That could be whether the wrong vendor was selected, the wrong bank account was selected, or SAP exception being wrong invoice number or wrong invoice date, maybe a tax differential. All of those are highlighted and accounted to that $13 million prevented. And then we continuously progress to proactive state that support the transaction through SAP. So that's one of the main things that I like to see in regards to the progress we've made so far since May of 2023.
Yeah, great. Not even a year, and you've been able to kind of drive all these cost savings. That's good to hear.
For
And Paris,
sure.
looking at those numbers there, do they look big? Are they quite expected amongst our customer base?
I would say, unfortunately, yes. It's amazing the amount of customers that are so surprised when they do, especially when they go live and we do the historical audit. And there's a lot of customers who come in and they say, oh, well, we've already got duplicate checks within our ERP system, for example, and then we still manage to sort of identify a lot more that hadn't been caught. So yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, that they're doing something about it and catching it before it becomes a problem. And wiping away those finders, please. Amazing, cool. And the next one is particularly impressive, Jeff, because it all comes down to like productivity and like your team, your AP team being able to demonstrate what they're doing to your kind of senior leaders. So 370% of target, go for it. Let us know how you got there.
Yeah, so initially it was 300, and then we saw that we were exceeding that goal every single month since go live in May 2023, and the number just keeps increasing. Normally, we weren't even getting that much statements throughout the month, but the amount of time that we turn around the response time, they are more inclined. Our vendors and partners are more inclined to send us more statements to reconcile and basically provide an update in any outstanding invoices that we may have and just haven't paid yet. So the response does create more of a inclination that they want to send us statements to get status on these invoices instead of sending an inquiry or calling up the support line just to get invoices status. So that's where that number comes from, just receiving more and being able to provide more value.
Great. Yeah. And I think that whole point around receiving more is really important because everybody's like, yeah, of course we can reconcile if we have the tool, but how do we get those statements in the first place? But obviously by new processes, you're kind of forcing a change in behavior from your vendor base, and your numbers are clear to see that that's happened. And outside of, smashing the target, you've delivered on these other results. And then Paris, I know you want to say something, so I'll come to you. I'll just come through these because I think I know what you're going to say. Jeff?
So the statement module automating supplier statement reconciliation. So our initial goal was 300, and then we grew it to 1,000 to, always make it more competitive. And the statement usually took about 30 minutes from what Paris said. So we did an analysis of how long a statement usually takes to reconcile. It can be like a simple statement to a large volume statement. And we got an average number of 1533 hours projected annual time saving. So that in itself is applaudable. And then scalable solution as the team size changes. So in that sense, we did start with a team of, I believe, 12 in our inquiry team. And that number has decreased. But even if that number decreased, we're still able to hit those goals. So with the help of Xelix, that definitely helps even a small team achieve the same amount. And then vendor partner more inclined to send statements. Yeah. So just the response rate that we provide just creates more of a value within the relationship between Energy Transfer and our partners.
Great. Thanks for that, Jeff. And Paris, scaling statement coverage or spend coverage, reconciling statements, is that how you usually plan it out with your customers, or how does it go?
Yeah, I have to say the Energy Transfer team have been, it's been a really, really great experience working with the team because they've just really got involved and there's been a lot of drive towards building on that goal. So typically what we do with customers is when they first join as a customer, we ask them, what will make Xelix a success, and we build a customer success plan. And as Jeff mentioned, we started off with a goal of 300 statements a month, and the growth was amazing. And what we've kept doing is just kept pushing further. We just want to continue to build smart goals and make sure that we're, really, really going above and beyond. And this has definitely happened with the Energy Transfer team. And yeah, it's really good to see. And a lot of, sometimes customers say, oh, well, actually, we don't get sent we don't get sent statements in the first place, so we don't need to do the statement reconciliations. But actually, if you start asking customers or your vendors for those statements, they often will just start sending them. And yeah, this is a really, really good example.
Amazing. Yeah, really, really good results there. So finally, your third goal, Jeff, was for the team to deliver more value. And this is quite a broad goal, but I'd love for you to kind of share, I think, with the time that they've saved, where else they've been delivering value across the business.
Yeah, so when we set out that goal for delivering more value, that was really up in the air until we saw the results utilizing the platform. Now we're able to actually develop those values and really streamline on where we want to provide that value. So we saw that we were able to provide more value to our relationship with our trading partners and vendors, and trying to negotiate discounts that we might be able to capture in regards to on-time payments and just continued partnership growth. And then the second one was explore more automation projects and enhance efficiency. So the AP department's always, trying to optimize our process, especially with the amount of growth that we're seeing. We always want to optimize just the minuscule task or the tedious task. So there's projects that are in line to enhance those procedures, and that's where we can actually put more time towards now that the statement process or the amount of value that Xelix provides, we're able to move that time focus. And then the third one is to improve risk management. So based on those numbers that we saw in the earlier slides, we automatically see the risk management improvement. Like I said, we barely had any quality assurance team. And so being able to have a platform like Xelix to notate, those invoice errors or the duplicate payments definitely reduces our risk out there. And then the fourth one was root cause analysis to drive process improvements. So using a tool like Xelix and being able to highlight those issues that SAP might not be catching is another, level of security that we can try to find areas where we can improve in that invoicing processing.
Yeah, nice. I think a lot of our customers, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paris, but I don't think I am, the root cause analysis is a really vital piece because they can understand, obviously, the root cause of the issues, and it might highlight training gaps or process downfalls, and then they can really focus on remedying those elements.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it we believe that if you start implementing, these processes upstream, efficiencies will pull through sort of at the later stream or downstream. And so within the platform, there's a lot of customizations that you can do, and that's to really help you dig into these, for example, the causes of what's causing your duplicate invoices or the invoice errors. And we can, we've got some default options, and we can help you as a CSM team. We can really help you understand, what you want to add in there. But we really would encourage customers to customize those options so that then you can dig in deeper. And essentially, as you alluded to, Elisa, then you identify, actually it's a training issue that they need, or actually it's a vendor. Most of these errors are coming from the vendors, not actually within our team, or maybe it's OCR scanning, actually maybe our technology that we've got in place is causing a lot of the errors. So we really try and help. We're really trying to help our teams dig into that data further to get to the root cause, and then ultimately prevent future mistakes.
So to touch up on that, I do appreciate the CSM team at Xelix. I know I always bugged on enhancement that I would like to see and improvements that I would like to see. So we've got our platform down to where we would want it to be customized. Of course, there's always open tickets that are still out there that we want to see enhanced within the platform. But no, the CSM team at Xelix is really great on handling that.
Thank you, Jeff.
That was great. Cool. Okay, on to the next slide. So, Jeff, AP never stops moving, not necessarily related to Xelix, but what's the next project for you and your AP team?
I think our next big project is trying to have a better remedy ticketing system. Currently, we use Remedy, but we're looking to move to a different platform so it's less tedious. There's a huge headache within the Remedy system. So that's our next goal. I know we're already moving forward with something else. I'm not sure. I'm not privy on that information currently, but that's our next goal, is to automate or basically streamline that remedy ticketing system.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's a common one as well. Like the amount of queries and emails that the AP team are getting, and therefore all the tickets that are being created. It's a massive pain point. Maybe not the most enjoyable job task in your job to do. Paris, might we have a solution for this?
Yes, we do. So Jeff kind of just alluded to it now, but we really stress a lot on our feedback culture, and we really encourage customers to share their feedback and share their requests and what they want to see in the platform. And everything that you see in the Xelix platform as a result now is as a result of speaking to our customers and understanding, where their pain points are and where their headaches are, or where their AP headaches. It's what we talk a lot about internally. And we essentially, in the last year or so, we've been talking to a lot of customers to really understand, what other headaches can we help with? And one that just kept coming up was vendor queries, and that managing a shared vendor inbox was really tricky, whether it was because, having a rota to decide who was managing it at what time, or whether it was that actually really trying to track SLAs was proving to be really tricky, because in their existing email client they couldn't do that, and adding in a ticketing system was proving to be tricky. So we kind of had a realization moment where we have access to, in Energy Transfer's case, to SAP or whichever ERP system that you're working with. So we've got access to the results, and essentially our very clever team at Xelix have generated a new project, or a new module called the Help Desk. And what it will do is it will not only help you manage your AP queries, but it will help intelligently categorize what type of query it is using generative AI. So, it will detect whether it's a statement request, or whether it's a reminder, or whether it's, a master vendor data email. And then it will intelligently categorize those emails. And it will also, which is the super cool bit, it will generate a response and help you understand how to respond to it. So it's really doing a huge amount of the heavy lifting for your AP team. And also it's presented within the platform. So it means that it's, more and more, all the data is just in one place. Yeah, we're really excited about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the whole thing of, it's connected to your ERP system or your P2P system. The vendor asks you a question, say when will this invoice be paid? It can go back into your ERP system or system, find out when it's set to be paid, and generate a response, which is just blows my mind, really. But that's technology for you. So yeah. Anyway, thanks, Paris, for that little showcase on Help Desk there. So Jeff, we've got a few slides left. The next one really is to sum up your Xelix experience, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so I was really surprised on the project. We set off, like the accounting department set off with a bunch of different projects that we wanted to accomplish by the end of 2023, and Xelix fell on my lap. And my time with working with Xelix, it was very easy. So for it to be one of the projects that fall on my lap, it made me look, very competent in how projects should be pushed forward, and UAT and testing, everything was very easy and forthcoming. So that really boils down to the relationship that we developed with our CSM team. So being able to notate any highlights that we want to see within the platform, all of them were heard, all of them in a timely response. So from start to finish, and future relationships as we progress throughout our relationship, it's gonna, I feel like it's gonna be very progressive for the AP department for sure.
That's lovely. Paris, do you have anything to say back to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been it continues to be a real joy to work with Energy Transfer. And, I should say we're very used to AP teams being hesitant to change. And so not all deployments get a huge amount of input right from the beginning. It takes a little bit of time to build the kind of the end users, being the AP clerks, or the AP the AP team in general to really get involved within Xelix and get excited about it. It often, we do quite a lot of hand holding to really get the teams fully. I think it's an element of confidence and also just remembering in their workflow to come into Xelix ahead of the payment run, for example. And we're completely used to that and we're prepared for that. And in 99% of cases, they then quickly do get used to it. But I would say with energy transfer, we never really had that battle. Jeff has always kind of been the champion, and along with some of his team members, and that has really led that the rest of the end users have just really engaged with Xelix from the start. So it's been great, and they have great feedback. So yes, Jeff does share a lot of requests, and we really value that, and hopefully he sees a lot of those requests now live in the platform.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's come a long way for sure.
Nice confirmation nod there. Yep, we've seen it. Great. Thank you, Paris. Thank you, Jeff. So before we go to Q&A, I just wanted a quick little plug. So if you did want to see the Xelix platform in action, we are running a live demo next week on the 7th of March. So you can just join just to see Wood on a normal webinar, see it in action, and then there will be an interactive Q&A at the end. So if you did want to join, the QR code is there if you've got your phone handy. Otherwise, when we email to share the recording, we will share the sign-up link for the live product demo next week. So without further ado, let's head to Q&A. So you have to bear with me while I read through these because we do have a few questions coming in. Okay, so we do have a question, I believe, Paris, for you. What does Xelix do for the recovery audit?
Yeah, so essentially when you go live, or when we move into production, I should say, we take into account typically 2 years worth of historical data, but it can be more. And then we will present the results to you within the platform. So you can then essentially see when of the 2 years worth of historical data where we think you might have had duplicates and where you have any invoice errors. And then you can obviously identify if any of those are actually open or whether they've actually been paid, and try and claw back any of those incorrect payments. But unlike a recovery audit firm, we won't kind of take a cut of what we recover. It's really just part of the contract. So yeah, so you can iron out any previously paid duplicates.
Great. Yeah, and I think, Jeff, you said initially when we first started talking, that exercise alone got the ROI in. So a good business case for the CFO, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Great. We've also got a question here, Paris. Does Xelix integrate with SAP for HANA, which is obviously a hot topic for many at the moment?
Yes. So we are ERP agnostic, so we can integrate with literally any ERP. I've heard some weird and wonderful ones, but SAP is obviously one that we work with a lot. S/4HANA, yes. And what we also have done a lot recently is support migrations. So customers become a customer and they're using ECC, and then they're going through their migration to S/4HANA. So it's pretty slick from our perspective, and we can just kind of provide a kind of buffer for that process. So yeah, we work with any ERP system. And also if you have multiple ERP systems, that's fine. And often it's actually a really useful sort of case to view all the data in one platform, or ahead of migrating to one platform, you just want to see them all. Ahead of migrating to one ERP system, you want to see all the data in one place. So long story short, but yes.
Thank you. No, that was really useful.
To actually touch up on that, I know some people, IT is usually a wall in regards to security. So Xelix does migrate with SAP and S/4HANA, but it's not more of them accessing our database. It's more of we have our database sent over to Xelix. So there's like SAP data that we have scheduled to Xelix, not that Xelix has direct access to our network. So I just want to clarify that, just in case IT becomes a wall in the implementation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I know like InfoSec, security IT, all that kind of stuff can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. So it's nice to hear it from yourself there, Jeff, how you overcome that challenge and push forward the project. Thank you. Okay, we have another one. I saw it a second ago. It's okay. So Paris for you, but also Jeff, maybe you can add on the end and provide some context. So we've got, does it provide insights of team productivity, such as how many statements in each person's bucket and how many open items like missing invoices, obsolete, etc.?
So I would say yes, we can build lots of different reports on team productivity. Predominantly, yes, in terms of how many statements is in each person's bucket and how many duplicate invoices or invoice errors are assigned to a particular user. So that's in terms of productivity within the platform. So, you know, you can see how many statements Jeff has done in Xelix, or how many statement reconciliations Jeff has done within Xelix, how many duplicate invoices Jeff has actioned within the platform. And then additionally to that, you can essentially, there probably is a limit, but I would say there's no limit to the amount of information that you pull into Xelix. So the more data from SAP or whichever ERP you use that you add into Xelix, it means the more you can report on. So when we're building the files to do the deployment, we have some mandatory fields, and then we have some sort of flexible fields which you can, or just non-mandatory ones. And I would always just say to customers, just add in as much data as you can, because then you can do as much reporting.
Great. Thank you.
Jeff, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, so my experience with that dashboard feature within Xelix, it is pretty easy of use. It's kind of like a Power BI dashboard, but it's more drag and drop. So as long as the information's on that SAP data export, we can go and create different reports within that dashboard module. So yeah, tracking productivity and the, I guess, progress within the Xelix platform is trackable, to answer that question.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I just kind of add here as well, speaking to other customers, I know that some people have used it as an agenda for development chats. You know, you're here, you could be here if you achieve this. So it's really helped with like team development, and really motivates teams as well to be able to get visibility on their productivity and their performance and things like that.
Yeah, I've heard of some teams, having internal goals. Yeah. So, you can win an Amazon voucher, or you can go out for lunch on the business if, whoever reconciles the most statements each month, or whatever it might be. Some internal incentives, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think on top of like the statement stuff, there is also a customer that we work with who has an internal leaderboard for invoice errors. So, you can see how many people, obviously not necessarily through their fault of their own, have made a number of invoice errors, who's actually doing best on the least invoice errors, and they get a bit competitive, and obviously it drives their performance, and they're just a bit more conscious and aware of what they're inputting into the system and things like that. So it does work quite well, those metrics. Okay, I'm just having a look to see if there's any more questions. It's quite a small Q&A box. I don't think there are any more questions, but I will just say in the resources section, there is a Xelix brochure if you would like to download it and read a bit more about Xelix and go into a bit more detail on our modules. And just another reminder that we do have the live product demo next week if you'd like to join. And that really only leaves me to say, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story, and just by the sounds of it, being an absolute delight customer to work with.
Happy to help.
Love that. And Paris, as always, thanks so much for being part of the webinar and helping Energy Transfer see so much success.
No, it's been great. Thanks all. Thanks for joining.
Great. Thanks. Okay, cool. We will send an email tomorrow with the recording and with that link to sign up to the live demo next week. Thanks everybody for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.